So recording in progress. Got it. So what is so fabulous is we took a little while, a couple of years, to get our footing on what does outreach mean in this day and age, because things have changed so dramatically. And through a lot of different efforts, we ended up with this unimaginable opportunity. With the, of all places, outside of Orange County, we were scampering around Orange County, but where did we land? It ended up that our efforts landed in Los Angeles with the LGBT Center of Los Angeles, which is proud of its facts that it's the largest center in the world with nearly 800 employees and seven different properties, different buildings and locations throughout Los Angeles, West Hollywood. So being that kind of an organization, as you may or may not know, they are not just tempered for the LGBT. They're, whoever walks in the door receives services from this incredible organization. The organization, with its nearly 800 employees, has around 80 executives and managers. And so we were excited when we got the permission to be able to pitch them on creating a pro bono situation for their staff. And so thank God Petra meets Bryan. Bryan's the smart whistle in the nonprofit organization machine, an executive within those operations himself. So he brings on all the technical and brilliance that creates the package for us to be able to be sitting here today. So a lot of people got married into this, stumbled into one another, and woo, here we are. So what we're on track to do right now is we are going to start this little test run where we are planning on having anywhere between 10, 12 about of their staff that we will pair up with. We're going to do our best to make sure that everybody's comfortable, everybody's prepared, able, and we're going to pair them up for this bi-weekly 3-month 6-session experience, so that we can find out exactly where we're smooth and where we need to improve things and be able to be more competent at pulling this majestic thing off. So that's the prelude. It's taken us about 3 years, but one good year of going back and forth. And now here we sit on this March Madness Day. So that's the backstory. Now over to Bryan.
Thanks, Camber. Thanks, Petra. So I couldn't be more excited to be here and be able to launch this. As Camber was talking about, this has been a couple of years in the making, and the last 4 months or so that we've really held the hands of the LA Center and really walked them through what coaching is, how it can have an impact with their leaders. And we're talking about executives and managers that haven't had really any leadership development opportunities in the past. So, I know I came to this profession about 8 years ago. I've had some great mentors along the way. And I know as a coaching community, all of you and the coaches that I meet, it's really valuable and it touches our heart to give back to the community that we work and live. So I couldn't be more honored and humbled to be able to launch this program along with the LA Center. And as we start to dive into it, a couple things that I wanted to note. Number one, this is all about really our coaches and how the impact that they can make on this LA Center, and all that Camber was talking about, all the initiatives they have that impact not only the LA and the Orange County community, but they have an impact across the nation. So for Orange County, ICF Orange County to be able to partner with them, we consider it an honor to do so. And as I walk you through, I'm going to have some slides that I'll present to the team here. I'll walk you through what we've built out in terms of process. So this is really, we've held their hand and really had a structure that we've actually applied to it. We've built out the forms, we've had the conversations, and we'll show you later some next steps where we think about what we want to do to make sure that this is a positive experience for everyone. And then also taking those results back to the leadership team. So we've quantified and asked them, what are some of the competencies that they really think are aligned to the center that would continue to drive their success? We're going to measure that and come back to them. I can tell you it was great when Camber and I have been meeting with them to hear, hey, we don't want this just to be a one-time pilot. As Camber was talking about, we've got 80 or 90 leaders that they are just wanting the development. They really are so appreciative of ICF Orange County and all of you that participate, ready to help launch this. So as I go through this today, I just want to say that if you really want to participate with it, it would really touch my heart. And I know the ICF Orange County as well, because you'll be making such a dramatic impact on these leaders. So I will walk you through what we've shown to them. I've got some slides for all of us as well. And then we'll have about 15, 20 minutes at the end to take questions. So I won't be able to see all of you as I'm going through the PowerPoint slides. So hold your questions until the end and we'll get them all addressed and all answered. So let me go ahead and bring up the slide and I'll start walking the team through it.
Ryan, real quick, since we had a few people in the waiting room, can you see if we have anyone else that may have entered later?
I don't see anybody at this time.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so as you can see, we have co-branded this program with the LGBT Center. So when we talk about this being an initiative, it's not just a short-term 3-month. We want to do the pilot so that we can test and learn and come back to them. So as we think about our organization, the impact that we can make, this is really meant to be a long-term program. And like I said, for the last 4 months, we've had consistent conversations with the leadership team there. So I don't want this team to think this is going to be more of a one and done. If we don't get chosen this time around, we once again want to make this a long-term partnership. And the LGBT Center is all on board with that. So the program overview that we have here, Camber was talking about it a little bit in the opening. So what we asked for, Camber was talking to 10 to 12, we asked for a maximum of 15 leaders. So all throughout the organization and all different lines of business that they have. So those 15 leaders, they're going to be chosen by the organization themselves. We're going to have those names next week. That's our timeline with the center. And at that point, we will all want all of you that want to participate in this to match up. So we would be able to have this in terms of being able to have 6 coaching sessions on a bi-weekly basis. Now, at times we had talked about a timeline of maybe making that longer, making it monthly in between. We think the commitment to have bi-weekly sessions over this first 3 months is really going to make an impact to these leaders. And a big reason why, I was talking about they haven't had any leadership development opportunities in the past. They've never had a coach in the past. So as we start to think about it, I've built out a process where we can have a discovery and an information session with them as well. So we're going to prime the pump, sort of say. So even after this, we are actually going to go to those 12 to 15 leaders that are chosen. We're actually going to do a call for them. All of you have been coaching for a while. You know, sometimes it takes a rhythm when you have a new client come on board. We're actually going to get them ready. What coaching is, what they can expect from their coach. So we're going to set that stage for all of you that want to be participating in this. And we have told them this is a safe and confidential space. We all know that as professional coaches that we want to create that. That's where the magic happens, when that client can show up and know they can say the things they need to say, not what they want somebody to hear. So we've had these conversations back and forth with the executive team at the LA LGBT Center, and they're completely on board with that. So knowing that you have this safe space with your client to create that connection and really allow them to show up and work on the things that are going to accelerate their performance going forward. So as I walk into, after the program overview, I want to talk about all of us. So one of our things that we believe in here at ICF Orange County is empowering the world through coaching. That's where I talk about how I'm honored and humbled that we actually get to have this partnership with them. We get to make this impact on leaders that would never have this opportunity. So really what the thing that comes to mind in the headline is already a successful organization that makes an impact in the community that we work and live. If we can come in as coaches and really help them accelerate that performance, pull out their strengths, use them consistently, what the heck would the results look like then? And what impact would that make? So as we start to go down this line, once again, I use that term prime the pump. I probably have to come back with something better than that. But that analogy is that we've already set them up with these conversations. So as a coach, if you participate, you're going to be walking into that environment with expectations already set, having a platform of knowing what their coach is going to show up and be able to provide to them, and more importantly, how they're going to show up as a client. So rather than this being a little bit awkward or kind of trying to figure it out, we're really trying to set that expectations right from the beginning of the program. I wanted to include in here, it's near and dear to my heart. I have a personal connection with the LGBT Center through my brother, and really thinking about the impact and some of the things that he's gone through in his life. Being a gay man that came out in the Midwest and being rejected by that. So being able to have a safe space to come and be able to work on things that are going to help them, not only professionally, we all know as coaches, personally, that connection comes in as well. So when we think about the LGBT Center mission, I wanted to get this all in front of you. The key words that we talk about here, thinking about excellence that you see there, inclusiveness, innovation, integrity. I want us as coaches to be able to see that and be aligned with what the organization's mission is as well, because this is how their team is going to be aligned also. So the value that comes to them by having that culture that they have at the center, and us being able to come in as coaches and accelerate that culture and build off the great foundation that they have, is once again going to help them reach more in the community, help others that need the help from their point of view in that situation. And really, once again, what the heck would the results look like if we have this long-term partnership that we can come in? One thing I would say about this, I'm going to take the center's mission out of this. When we think about us as coaches and our mission, making the impact to the community that we work and live, this is going to have a direct correlation to that. And I know that I'm honored to be able to have that platform to be able to give back to the community in that way. And I can tell you, when we get Carrie on, the 15 coaches that participate and get in this program, you're going to hear directly from that director. And she's going to tell you exactly how appreciative she is of all of you that want to participate in this program. So I think there's going to be a benefit from both sides. As coaches, we get to give back. We also get to continue to sharpen our skills. We also get to really think about our coaching and think about our hours if we're going for that next accreditation. In addition, the appreciation that's going to come from the LGBT Center is going to be tenfold to what it means to us. So being able to have that impact, I wanted to get that in front of the team as well. Here's the coaching program. So as Camber was talking about before, we have really built this out for them. We've branded the materials for them. We've let them know you can use them in the future as well. We've handheld them and walked them through what coaching is, what to expect. So this is going to consist of 6 coaching sessions over a 3-month time frame. So bi-weekly sessions. We're going to want to have that aligned. We've got 4 here when we ask for the center. What would success look like for your leaders if they were to work on their leadership development? So as you can see, we have a couple captured here. So there was a lot around decision making. So as Camber was discussing before, this organization is large, 800 to 900 team members all in, 80 to 90 leaders. And we don't have those leaders that have had any sort of development opportunity in the past. So it's really rough for them to make quick and efficient decisions that are going to impact the organization. So that was one topic that came up. Another one, talking about enhancing their service skills. And we all know as coaches, a lot of things come under that, right? Whether it's their own personal emotions, whether it's their ability to flex their communication skills to meet the needs of others. So there's going to be all different competencies that are going to fall underneath these. So it's not that we're going to be limited to 4 to 6 high-level items. It's going to be that direction on what we want to really put that time and attention as a priority, and then what skills would fall underneath that. So as a coach, you get to explore, and we all know that, the uniqueness of each individual that you'd be working with, and be able to bring that forward into the coaching program as well. I talked about how we built this out for them. So I've been participating in nonprofit coaching with executives for about 4 or 5 years now. And I can tell you, sometimes there's not a consistent process. And what we let Carrie and Gerard, the leaders of this effort over at the LA LGBT Center, know is that we want to instill a process for them so that there's some sort of consistency, that they know the coaches are going to show up are really going to be in their best interest, and that we've got the professional coaches that are really going to help accelerate those results. So we actually built out the forms. So we actually have a coaching plan that we would send to all of you that want to participate. It's a fillable PDF that the leaders will be able to utilize and send to you in that discovery and introductory meeting. That would be the first session. We have that coaching plan discussion, but then also we want to make sure that we can't hold them accountable, but we want to instill accountability in them. And what would that look like? So we actually built out an update form that they would send to you 24 hours in advance. Those expectations have already been sent, which once again are a fillable PDF. What did you accomplish during our session while we were away? What are some of the things that you didn't accomplish that you committed to that you want to unpack and work on? What do you want to focus on during our time together? So that hopefully it adds that structure to it, especially as, once again, these new leaders haven't experienced coaching. And as a coach, donating your time back, it gives you, once again, that format. so that you know exactly what to expect. And this is going to be instilled in those leaders from the beginning as well. So when you think about, we'll have a contract for all of them also. So I know probably all of you use a contract in your outside coaching. What we will do is actually, we've already built one and they have it in their hands right now, so that once again, the expectations are set. Things such as, if you're going to cancel, reschedule, it needs to be within 24 hours. Things of, I will show up and be prepared. They will sign that and they will send that back. So when I talk about us really going through and building out this program, it wasn't just conversations around, hey, would you like some coaches in to come in and help you develop your leaders? There's been thoughtful processes put down to this, along with, once again, the documentation and the format that we can give to all of you to make it easier on you as coaches. And then once again, set up the leaders for success as we move forward in the coaching program. Now, what I wanted to show, this isn't probably new material to all the coaches that I have on here, right? I know how fantastic we have in the Orange County ICF chapter. These are some of the things that we have instilled and shown to those leaders over to prime that pump, as I was talking about. So when we start thinking about getting them to be curious about their current role, where they want to focus their time and attention, what would that look like? How do we have some specific action steps to increase our competencies in that area? We're actually feeding that to them and doing some, I would say, consulting ahead of time, and really getting them in the mindset to show up ready for all of you as coaches when we come into that first one or two sessions. So when you look here, this is information that we're doing so that we educate before we just have them show up to you in a coaching format, and then you have to do the legwork. Because we all know as coaches, you get new clients in, it might take that 1, 2, 3 sessions before they get aligned with how they're going to use that space. We're doing that for the coaches in the program. And once again, the LGBT Center has been so appreciative of us actually taking that extra time and doing this extra legwork so that we've got alignment and consistency when we launch. So wanted you to see this, what we're showing to them, and make sure that you've got that full vision as well. And we'll also send this out to those coaches that are going to participate, so that once again, you've got everything that all the leaders have seen also. Included in here, what will that look like? How does my coach assist in me growing at the LGBT Center? We've actually laid this out for them, right? So you'll see this format. So as a coach, when you're really having those takeaways and those commitments, what are some of the things that we're going to talk about next time? What are your commitments that you're actually going to follow through before we actually meet? And you can get specific with that in these areas. So we really wanted to give them a visual. So it wasn't just the theory of coaching. How do we make it tangible? And this is helping to resonate with them to make it tangible, that they know that they're going to walk away with either practice items, reflection, feedback when they show back up. We talked a little bit about the stakeholders giving feedback. So once again, there's alignment there where we're doing a lot of the things necessary to build the foundation, rather than as coaches, you having to do that from the get-go. So this is something that we've shown to them and are walking all those leaders that are chosen through as well. What can I expect from a coach? We're going to have 15 leaders who have never had a coach before. So this is, once again, part of our conversation as well. We're letting them know, and first we let the leaders know around the confidentiality, around some of the things that we can help in that space, so that they can really start to explore what that next level of leadership looks like for them, their team, and just the domino effect we all know happens when you're working with that one leader. So we're setting the stage once again here. So they have a clarity and a vision before they come in. We all know this. There's probably going to be some questions that come up if you haven't had a coach, even though that we're going through this and laying that groundwork. But once again, you shouldn't have a client, if you participate in this program, that didn't see this, that didn't have these conversations, that didn't get their questions answered before they come to you in a coaching session. We also talked about what can be expected from a coach, right? So really thinking that and what you need to show up as. So in addition to us really talking about the expectations of a coach, we want the expectations laid of your responsibility. We're giving our hours back, right? I talked about the benefits to ourselves as coaches, especially through the ICF Orange County chapter. Also talked about it through the lens of LGBT Center. So we don't want this to be a waste of time. And we've said that very objectively and open. We want to make sure that there are results. We want to make sure your leaders are showing up prepared, that they're engaged, and there are things that they can be working on. So once again, we're setting that stage so that you shouldn't have that where they show up and what is this coaching, and what am I supposed to get out of this, and all those initial client conversations that most of us have had in the past. I know I've had that experience. So we took that into a thoughtful consideration when building out this program. And these conversations have been taking place, like I said, for the last 4 months or so plus. So it's really repetitive and getting it ingrained to the DNA of that team so that once again, we can show up in a better light rather than having to start from scratch. Having here next steps. So as we were talking about before, we're choosing, and we gave them up to 15 leaders. They actually want to give us more leaders. We're the ones who stopped that initially, Camber was talking about. We want this to be a long-term partnership as a benefit for all of us as coaches. Once again, we talked about our hours, being able to have a different type of clientele, possibly being able to make an impact in our community. I know that's the coaches, that's the heart of what we do. But in addition, we want to make sure that they're getting the best value, the best benefit, and the best results from it. So we slowed them down and said, we're going to take up to 15. 15 is what we're shooting for. We could have 10 to 12, depending on that, but we've got more than that. They want to give us more going over in the future. We want to do the pilot so we can test and learn. Is biweekly the right cadence? Should it be monthly? Should we open it up and not have a direct line to the competencies and to the alignment? Should we really open it up to whatever they want to show up and talk about? So we're going to actually be behind the scenes and capturing that. And part of it, we don't have it in here, but we would love to be able to do monthly coaching calls with the participating group as well. Cameron and I have talked about that so that we can see how the program is going. What support do you need from the two of us? So this isn't we're going to assign you a coach and you're on. We're being thoughtful that we want to give you all the support needed. We want to hear your feedback around it, because once again, we don't want this to be a one and done. We want this to be a long-term partnership that we have with this organization. They're hungry for it. We want to give back to the community. It makes a perfect fit through my eyes and through Camber's eyes as well. So what we will be doing is we're going to go ahead and select coaches that are aligned with our mission and the things that I talked about today that you hold true. You probably have some other values that we want you to interact in this pilot program. So we're going to go ahead and select those coaches. On this next slide, I'm going to show you how to do that. But we want to make sure this is going to be a member chapter benefit. So we want to really make sure that these coaches that we have aligned with this, all the hard work, the effort that's been done, and we made that commitment to the LGBT Center that these would be ICF Orange County accredited coaches. So we want to make sure that we're picking the right audience so that we get the right result going forward as well. And then we're going to be holding a virtual call, right? I talked about that with the leaders as well, set those expectations. So the coaches that are selected will come on and hear from Carrie and Gerard, the people that are leading this effort from the other side, and hear the expectations and hear the honesty and the openness of how appreciative they are to have this opportunity from all of us. So we want that connection for the coaches that are going to be actually going through this to the leaders of the organization as well. So you're not just going to have that connectivity when it comes to coaching a client, you're going to have that connectivity to the leadership team over at LGBT Center as well as all of our support. So this is not, once again, where we sign you and then it's gone. You're going to have support throughout the whole program itself. We're looking at this to launch the second week of April. So tentatively right now, when we get the coaches, I'll show this on the next slide, we'd like to know who would like to participate by next week. After that, the week after, April 7th is our target date. We want to have Carrie and Gerard come on and talk to all those coaches that are participating. That's where they'll get to hear from them, ask any questions about the LGBT Center, their mission, the things they're driving towards, which once again gives you clarity and connectivity to not just the leader you'll be coaching, but also the organization and the impact that you'll be making with all those leaders as well. So how do I participate? If you are interested in participating, like I said, I'm so excited that we were able to put this together. A lot of hard work and efforts gone into it. I got to thank my running mate Camber there as well. Send an email to myself. So here's my email address. I'm going to be answering all the emails. So if you have a question, you're interested, send that to my email box. Questions, I'll respond as soon as I can. Once again, this is a priority effort for myself. It's really passionate about it, as well as the ICF Orange County chapter. I would love to have those by Thursday, because once again, we're on a timeline. We want to get Carrie and the leadership team on a virtual call the week after. So if we know what coaches want to participate, we want to make sure that we've got that population ready for them to speak to as well. And also, you've heard from me today, I put my heart on a sleeve and talked about the impact that we're going to make to the community through this effort. What excites you about participating? I'd love to hear from the coaches, because as we select this, I know today we had about 35 that even signed up for this session. So we've got a lot of people that are in the wings waiting to really participate in this. So when we start to think about it, why do you want to participate? What really lights you up to think about that you'll be making this impact, not only to your coaching practice, but also, once again, to the community with the LGBT Center. And then also, I would love to know, how do you want us to introduce you? If you were chosen, what are your specialties? What are your certifications? Any bio information that we can have, so that, once again, you have a voice in this. If you're participating in this pilot, you're a partner, not just a participant, but a partner. So we talked about all the support and all the different connectivity that you'll have. I want to make sure that we make that loud and clear. So please take a screenshot of it. We'll send it out. You've got my email address. Any questions that come up, you can send them to me personally. But if you wish to participate, please send an email by the end of business Thursday, March 31st, and answer these questions for us, right? So we can, once again, make sure we select the right coaches for the pilot program. And then the beauty of this, like I spoke about, we're going to have so many opportunities with this center. If we show up in the right way, we're making sure, doing everything in effort, that we should have those leaders show up in the right way. So how can we show up in the right way? And with that, I will go ahead and stop sharing if we want to take any questions or anything that comes up from anybody.
Hi, it's Jennifer. Hello, everybody.
Hey, Jennifer.
Quick question, just curiosity more than anything else. Recognizing that they have over 80 execs and managers, what is the criteria that they plan to use for their first 50?
That's a great question. And so those questions that I threw out to all of you as coaches, as we start to go through our selection process, we actually gave those in a different way, right? Different versions to the leaders, to the LA LGBT Center as well. So they're going to go through a selection process of who's excited about the program, who knows they're going to get value out of the program, who really wants to participate, and what would they initially want to work on. So that we're going to choose people that, once again, show up to your coaching sessions, that not only the conversations Camber and I have had, but also we're going to have conversations that we can make sure that, hey, they've already had some questions asked, and we can go through that to make that selection process. Yeah, absolutely.
First of all, thank you both for just pioneering this really exciting project. So well done, and thank you, for then creating something where we can all be involved as well. It warms the cockles of my heart. So well done.
I love it.
So question. You talked about every other week for 3 months. And then what would be the follow-up? Like, how would we all get together and kind of share what we're observing, what we're learning to get that? Yeah, what does that process look like?
Great question. So, and say it one more. I don't want to say it mispronounced.
Tanya, and go ahead and pronounce it badly. Be vulnerable, as everybody does.
Tanya. I'm just going to stop. I'm going to say it right. So what we were discussing is, when we have that selection of coaches, we want to make sure there's support and follow-up. And like I said, for you to be a partner in this. So Cameron and I are going to set up monthly calls where we get together. So Zoom calls that we would come back. I'll have an agenda prepared and ready. What are we seeing? What are some of the things that we want to bring to the attention of the center? What are some of the successful results that we're seeing that we can go back? And once again, confidential manner, we're not going to give specifics, but at high level, what are we hearing about the program? What are some of the things that we can give back to them? So those will be monthly calls that we'll schedule at the end of the month. That way we all get together and we can get back into alignment if something's a little off or a little wonky.
And do they currently have some sort of a annual review process or 9-box or?
It's a great question. From my understanding, they have an annual review process, but there's really not a development opportunity. So it's more kind of like flying by the seat of their pants. I'll use that analogy, which is why they're so appreciative when we've come in and really handheld them through a process and built this out for them. So I was talking about before, like, we built the forms, branded it for them. They don't have anything of such as like a coaching form or anything of that nature. So what we said at the ICF Orange County, is that we don't want to just keep all this intellectual capital. Like, you can have it. So you can use it, like use it with your other leaders, use it with your other coaches. It's yours now. And that got them excited as well. Once again, being long-term partners rather than just coming in and doing a sort of a one and done. So they don't have a formalized coaching process. There is a year-end review, but from our understanding, there's things that they're not getting in terms of that development. And in a nonprofit, I've done this for 4 or 5 years. Most of them don't have a budget to go out and do some sort of leadership development. So once again, the impact that we can make coming in, it's such a gift for these leaders to be able to have that, so that they have something that gets them geared towards their annual review process and shows their growth, shows how they're maturing as leaders. And that's the real big exciting thing. The impact that we're going to make is going to be exponential, because there's zero right now going on in that space. So it's just such a huge opportunity for us, once again, as coaches, to come in and make the largest impact possible to one of the largest centers of its kind in the nation.
Awesome. Are there any sort of cultural, is there any kind of a theme going on within the culture? Like, these are some of the, and that you may not be able to share that right now, it may be confidential, but if there are, can you share some of the current cultural challenges that they may be having?
Camber, I've got a thought. You want to throw one in there?
Well, I want to respond to her previous question really quick. So the one thing I think is really important to know, and I'm sure this is across the board with nonprofits, but especially for the LGBT community, the people who we'll be working with from the top to the bottom is a probability, is these people they didn't go here because they graduated from Harvard and they want to make $1 million, right? Let's get that perfectly clear.
Yeah.
These people had to have a reason from their soul to walk in the door and have the nerve to do this job, because they're paid pretty low and the benefits are just ordinary and the work is strenuous, right? In your face clients every day, from a street person walking in the door to a philanthropist walking in searching for answers, or it just runs the gambit, right? And so I wanted to just outline that about these people and generally how they're coming into their work every day. Second of all, there is a program that they have there that just started this year, which Todd Peterson, who sits on the board there and also is in charge of client services from the board standpoint, he initiated a program because of COVID. These people were still frontline workers dealing with people who were already compromised, some of them in their health, and they were still coming into work, hell or high water, and getting the job done. And Todd really wanted to show some appreciation. So they spent some incredible money on these just beautiful dollar-like medallions with, the gay flag in it, sparkles, just totally gay, meaning happy little thing. And then they picked 35 of the, I don't know if it was the 800 bunch. They picked 35 of the hardest working people and they recognized them in January for just doing, extraordinary efforts in their work. And that's really one of the first times they've stepped up to do something, to say, oh, did you punch in? Did you punch out? Did you, it wasn't just a routine thing. These human beings were getting recognized for the first time. So that's the new vibe there that we're coming in, and we're just going to catapult it with that. So
excellent.
Anyways, I don't know if that helps.
Yeah. Beautiful.
One thing I would add is that we've heard, we're talking about, you don't serve the community in that capacity for a paycheck. It's really about a cause, it's about a passion, it's about what they believe in. There has been, when we're asking the LGBT center leaders and the executives, thinking about some burnout, right, that happens from time to time. They're not having a dedicated space with a coach to unpack what's happening and get refocused. They're in this task-oriented mentality where they haven't had this benefit to say, where do I need to slow down? Where do I need to put my time and attention? What would that look like going forward? So that is a theme that we have heard. And once again, it really lit me up, because it was that's what we can do as a coach. We can come in and fill that need that's there. And then hopefully we would have these leaders who are so passionate about the cause that they're supporting, want to stay there longer because they have that opportunity to once again get redirected or have their own space to really understand what their development looks like in a proactive way, rather than just reacting transactionally to everything that's happening around them in the environment.
Great.
Maybe another thing to look at here, Bryan, and both you and Camber, exquisite presentation.
thank you.
Very comprehensive, and I hope what everyone can take away here today too is really the dedication to a class 1 rollout that we're really been working on with a lot of effort that went in, particularly from Camber and Bryan, to make sure that we're not having an affiliation that leads to a program where people may opt in and out, and it doesn't really create results for neither the coaches, which we experienced sometimes in the past, nor for the coachees. So this is, there's a lot of work that went into this on the front end just to ensure that this is a quality program. And to Bryan and Camber's point, we're seeking a long-term partnership here, which also makes this pilot very important to us. As far as development area, I would like for you all to think of this also as, you know, a conduit to build resilience. When you think about what Camber just described, there is oftentimes what you call a compassion fatigue. And the coaching is also designed here to really help these people rebuild resilience, particularly in light of what they've been through in the past 2 years. So this couldn't be more timely, this initiative, which is, you know, one of the reasons why we were embraced with such open arms on this idea. It is, again, not only timely, it's also really looking at what Camber mentioned with respect to reward, right? What can we offer these employees? This is basically the thought process internally right now that really gets that sensation of there's maybe not enough monetary reward here, but there certainly is an intention to keep people, you know, in a place where they can work and feel fulfilled, rather than feeling drained and getting, you know, the first signs of burnout. So it's a program really that's designed around those things with, of course, leadership development in mind. And as we all know, it's about leading self, right, before leading others. So a lot of it is built on the idea of resilience, and then, of course, some leadership competencies that Bryan and Camber carved out in the discussion. And as we move forward, we will share more detail exactly on coaching plans and things, but you will get a very robust structure that really will help you guide and will enable you to really concentrate on those 6 sessions, rather than a lot of the, as was mentioned earlier, the discovery calls, the you know, aligning coaching coachees. So there's a lot of work that has been put in place for you to really have an easy start with this and have some guidance along the way, which is also important. Thank you.
I think the one thing that we're going to find, just like in general, when you come into groups, you know, like if you're going to go to a party for American Express, well, you're, you know, at a hangar in Orange County, you're going to find a lot of like-minded men and women, right, who have gone through the same kind of quandary to get to their executive role. You know, in this case, it's, you know, a heavily clouded minority, you know, that is just so eclectic. It's just off the charts, right? So we'll be able to walk into this thing, and we're all gonna find ourselves at one time or another going, I think I better just listen right now, because I have no idea how to relate to what's, you know, the issue might be. But in so doing, of course, in coaching, that's where the big aha comes in. As you step off the edge of your own reality and your own experience, and you're faced with the you know, this opportunity of something you never even figured would be an issue for somebody in a single day. You know, this is going to be a broad spectrum of different individuals, from people with masters or PhD, you know, Ds behind them, to people who dropped out and just really wanted to get into the trenches to move humankind forward, and then slowly but surely moved up through the chain, right? So it's a very eclectic environment, which I think should be exciting for all of us. So just note of interest. right? Did we answer your question, Tane,
Yes, you did.
about cultural kind of thing? Okay.
Yeah, no, that gave me great insight into sort of the current sort of like the pulse of the organization.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
emotional pulse of the organization is really what I was
Right.
asking about. So
Okay.
excellent. Yeah.
Good, good, good. All right. Does anybody have any other questions that are scratching? Any itch you need to have answered, so to speak? No?
Just a comment.
Sure.
I know that we spoke of resilience as being top of mind to this population and probably to everybody in the entire world at the moment. Have you guys heard, and I apologize, I don't remember the inventors or the creator's name, but it is something that is called iResilience. It is a free assessment. And what it does is it generates a report from 4 dimensions that show what might be dragging your resilience down, what's kind of neutral and what's high. I would love to share that with whomever is interested and to make a decision on whether that might be something that we could offer this cohort now and on an ongoing basis, so that maybe that can even start to be embedded into their culture of resilience.
Well, sure. We have nothing to lose by taking a look at it.
Just a little time.
Yeah,
Brian, I'll send that to you.
there you go. I was going to say, I just put my email address in there just in case somebody missed it before. But yeah, absolutely send it my way, and we can look through it. And once again, we're going to have collaboration calls with all the coaches. So, if we think as a team that it would be something consistently would be of value, then absolutely. But that's one thing I want to get across as well. I think we've all possibly been part of programs where it was kind of like we were on our own. We kind of signed up, we did it, but then we didn't hear from anybody. Camber and I have been very thoughtful about that experience and really thinking through, hence the, hey, we're going to have a call where you get to hear from Carrie and Gerard, the leaders from the LGBT Center, right? Monthly calls where we're going to say like, what's happening, what's not happening. So I can see that happening, Jen, like that first monthly call saying, hey, we're all seeing something where they don't have an idea or awareness around resilience and what that means. Like, okay, great. As coaches, let's collaborate as a team. What tools would we have and how would we implement that consistently? That's the purpose of having those monthly calls as well, so that as a team, we can pivot and make sure that we're hitting the mark, right? So I love that.
Yeah, and thanks. That's so cool that you would offer to share something to enhance what the heck's going on over here. Yeah. So that's really cool.
I have a question. So you're talking 10 to 12 people for 3 months. And then do you envision like after those 3 months, you get a new group, since it's a new group of 10 to 12 people, 10 to 15 people?
So if we show up right, yeah, absolutely, right? We want to make sure we get results for the program. So hence getting the coaches that really it hits their heart and they want to participate and give it all. So that commitment to those 6 sessions, right? Making sure we can do that. So the thought process is, when we were catching up with Petra yesterday, is that this is probably run through June, right? If we think about it from an April through June, probably July we take off in the summer, and we would probably ignite something again like in the fall, August or September timeframe. We didn't even offer that initially in terms of like, we want this to really make sure that we can hit all your leaders in the future. That was offered back to us through conversations from the LGBT Center. So hence the engagement that we've had with them going forward, right? Like, we wanted to earn the right to be able to have this long-term partnership. I've got Camber by my side who can sweet talk anybody. So all of a sudden they want to make sure that we can be long-term partners for the long haul. So yes, the answer to your question is absolutely, Sharon. So we look at this as something that, once again, would be a chapter member benefit, because we've done all this work, we've branded it, we've built out the forms, we've built out the process. We're going to be doing this as partners together, so that as partners, we can carry this work forward. I'll open something up. I probably shouldn't, but my mouth gets me in trouble sometimes. I get passionate about it, but we already have another few organizations that I've spoken to about what we're doing with the LGBT Center. Some very large organizations in Orange County that are already intrigued and want to know what we can provide to them. So we're actually holding back right now because we want to make sure we do the pilot. We've got enough engagement. We kind of refine it as partners all in this together. Camber and I have done the legwork up to this point, but whatever coaches that sign up and this really touches their heart, we want them to be partners in this going forward, because we can only do so much. So as a chapter, we want this to be something that galvanizes us together and something we can be very proud of. So if we can carry that forward, not only to this organization, but other large organizations of nonprofits, like what the heck would the results look like then?
Right. And then from the coaching side, are you like asking for commitments in 3-month chunks, or are you asking for longer term commitments, or?
Yeah, the commitment is just to this 3-month pilot.
Okay.
That's all we're asking for the commitment for right now,
Okay.
right? But the reason that we want to make sure when we're asking those questions, when people respond to the email, is once again, we want to show up in the best light to the LGBT Center as well. We don't want a coach that shows up for the first 2 or 3 sessions and then can't make the next 2 or 3 sessions, right? So 6-week commitment, or the 6-session commitment for the 3 months, that's all we're asking for at this point.
And, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, and then it may be a new group of coaches that comes in
Yes.
after that. Okay.
Got it.
Yeah,
Yep.
right. It's going to be, up to the experience to dictate what's going to happen next, whether they want to go round 2. Yes, Lori.
Yeah, I was just curious, are you looking for credentialed coaches, somebody who has their ACC or PCC or MCC only? Or are you open to people that are working on their ACC who've been through coach training? Or like, where is there a line there at all?
Yeah, for the great question, Lori. For the pilot as a chapter, we're looking for credentialed coaches that have been coaching for a while, right? That have experience. We want to be very thoughtful as we build this program out in the future. And I think that's where we can bring in some of the newer coaches into our coach forum, those monthly calls, so they can have experience, hear what's happening, hear about the organization, learn how we're coaching, and then we can build them in at a later time.
Exactly. And then they could use that towards their credential. Yeah.
You got it.
Love it.
So the beauty, what I want to maybe highlight here too for everyone, the beauty of a pilot is, and I think Bryan and Kemba both brought that up, is your input is greatly appreciated. In other words, a pilot is really where you reflect and try to optimize things and really adjust as we go, right? So this is obviously a journey for everybody involved, particularly for the partnership that we've created. And we will run into situations that are not foreseeable in terms of the coaching plan for everyone that will enroll. And we do want to hear, we want to have an active dialogue going, particularly throughout the duration of this pilot. So one of the things maybe we can say in terms of expectations to the ones that are leading this initiative with us on this first round is to really be available or offer your feedback and really think about this as an ambassador position for our community of members, to share your experiences with other members when you get a chance. Talk about the things that are maybe inspiring you to participate and help us to really promote the benefits that we're clearly offering with this to all our members. So maybe that's one other special role that we're attaching here for you guys in terms of the first round.
Yeah, and it's going to be important for us on this first round because then it's going to be the water cooler event. So, as Bryan was talking about earlier, some of these people have, as many people in the marketplace, they don't know what is a coach? What are you doing between a psychiatrist, counselor, therapist, blah, blah, blah. So when you're getting into the niche of that, so many of these people are in that quandary, like, what is this? And is this a trick? Are they going to tell all my stuff to my boss? Right? So once we get through this, that we have the stars involved and everything aligns and we get it done, then these people are going to go into the lunchroom and they're going to go to the coffee shop and they're going to go, hey, did you know I did that coach thing? And woo, we don't want them to go, oh, that coach thing is really like, woo, not fabulous. So we need that initial boom to let the rumors fly on how awesome ICF Orange County and coaching is. So, so it's a big team effort here. Sorry. Okay, any other questions? Beautiful people.
May I ask Camber and Bryan to both speak about what their thoughts are? There's so much talk in this conversation about the future.
what will happen with this first cohort of the 15 or so selected members of this LA chapter? Are you envisioning that they're going to continue on in a coaching engagement with ICF OC coaches? What do you think will happen?
It's an interesting question, right? Like we have a backlog, let's put it that way, of leaders that they want us to coach. And we're starting off with that 15. So I think that's where I'll use the analogy. We're at the starting line right now. Camber and I have kind of built the foundation to get us to the starting line.
Yeah.
The coaches that we select, when I was talking about all the support and everything going into it, and I said, I want this to be partners. So I would love to be speaking about this in September saying, hey, we had 17 partners who have really built out this program and really have had this impact on everybody, right? And then I could grow to 30 partners who have really initiated this program if we go out to others. So I think that's a decision for us to make when the time comes up. I think at this point, we're making it so that it does have a beginning and an end. And all coaching has a beginning and end at some point. You can recontract with a client, but usually we have a beginning and an end. So we're looking at it as a beginning and an end. And then depending on capacity, availability, if they want to engage again, we might have to have them wait 6 months, right? Get a new crop of leaders that come in. They might have to wait till January to sign up again. So that's the way that I envision it. But once again, we're just at the starting line and I don't want to make all those decisions. I'd rather have 15 additional partners help us make those decisions.
Yeah. What a fun beta test. Congratulations.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Good question.
Awesome. Well, that's all I had for everybody today. I really appreciate you all being here on the call. And like I said, there's been a lot of work and effort that goes into this, but I think as coaches in an ICF Orange County chapter, we can make a huge impact here. And like I said, I believe we're at the starting line. So, we'd love for all of you to be partners in this. So we want your thoughts, we want your feedback, we want you to help us create this going forward, because we have a lot of other large organizations that are just kind of waiting on us, but we want to get it right before we launch this throughout all the Orange County and LA area.
I'd just like to acknowledge both of you, because I know what you guys have, your heart and soul into this behind the scenes, and what the tremendous work that you've been doing to make it pretty and just make it doable and to invoke interest on both sides. And so I just wanted to acknowledge you. And I was so proud of our chapter, as we were just at the DLF this past 3 days, and just being able to speak what is your chapter doing in this area. And it just made me feel so honored to be a part of ICF Orange County. So thank you both.
All right.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you.
Maybe in closing, since we have the luxury of having our membership director here present today, Wendy Leggett, for all of you who haven't met her yet. Wendy, I'll let you take it over for a minute here to wrap us up.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I think Lori said it so well, that the heart and soul, it's obvious in the conversation here. And I believe that you all know that we've got our North Star this year, where we're experimenting, we're evolving, we're expanding, we're engaging. And I think that this is just such a wonderful opportunity and a beautiful reflection of our beliefs. And so it's wonderful that you're all here today. We really hope that this is something that you'll be able to get your teeth into and be a part of the program. Bryan and Camber have laid out such a fantastic framework. And so thank you so very much for your participation, and please share the word with others that you believe are like-minded and could take advantage of this phenomenal opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you all. And I guess with that, we're closing out pretty much right on time. So I let you all get back to your afternoons here on Thursday. Again, thank you, Camber and Bryan, for the fabulous presentation. And we're looking forward to hear from you and enroll and help us get off to a fabulous start with this program. Thank you all for being here today.
Awesome. Thank you, team.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks.
Well
Okay,
done. Yeah.
bye.